Welcome back to another episode of Rec Talk. Today we have from theLEAP, Nicola Gomme. How are we doing?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming down. We found out recently that we're relatively local, aren't we?
Yeah, and I just love the fact that to be able to do something like this locally is just like such a one-off. Midlands is where it's at. I tell everyone, but no one's listening.
No one believes it. Yeah.
No one believes it.
London's a thing of the past now.
It is, yeah.
Nobody wants to be in London anymore. Anyway, thanks for coming. We've enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah. They've just cut all of that. We'll go straight from thanks for coming down to then jumping straight into...
I'm a producer, but you're making it really freaking hard for me. Yeah.
Well, look, obviously, theLEAP is a big platform within kind of the recruitment marketing world, right? And one of the hot topics of kind of recruitment marketing, well, every industry really, is AI. And it'd be really interesting to get your kind of insights in, firstly, how is AI, in your opinion, helping your market, your business, but actually what are you worried about? What parts of AI do you think, I don't know how we can get on board with this?
I think it's a really interesting one at the minute, and obviously it's not new. Like the last few years, people have been talking about how AI is affecting different industries and which jobs are at risk, and we've been talking a lot about it in terms of its impact on the lives of recruiters. Like, is recruitment still going to exist, or is AI going to take over that? And
it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. But naively, I've never really felt the threat towards marketing. I think perhaps living in my own little bubble, I've never really felt like it's coming for me or coming for my agency or my job.
I heard that it was specifically set up for you.
Targeted.
Just targeted you and you alone, yeah.
Yeah, but then I got a message from someone on LinkedIn who's a connection of mine, never actually met. They're over in APAC. She's quite early on in her career, and she messaged me saying, I'm thinking about not pursuing marketing as a career anymore because I've heard there might not be a future for it. And I was just like, what? Like, is that something that people are genuinely worried about? Because I thought, am I behind on this thing?
Yeah, am I being stupid here? Like,
because it's easy to believe that you'll always have a place and you'll always add value, right? But it was interesting. She said, like, I'm really keen before I make the leap, not to, excuse the pun. Yeah, it's hard not to. But before I go and make this career change, I wanted to get your view on it. And I spent sort of a day, I was out and about when I first got the message, just thinking about it. And I went back to her and I said that I do believe there is a place. I think it's going to look different, but I wouldn't bin off your career aspirations over a potential threat of AI. But that sort of got me thinking about this topic and assume that other people might be having the same fear or concerns. And I think from a recruitment company perspective, obviously we've had a few tough years, to say the least, in the industry. COVID, Brexit, Ukraine, and now a recession looming.
Do you know,
it's being hard.
Ordinarily, right, if you'd have said that, it's like, this last decade has been, or this last, couple of decades has been really, or this last century. If you said, in the last century, we've had Brexit, we've had Ukraine, we've had COVID, and you name all the kind of crises that we've had over probably the last 5-6 years, we got to have props for that, don't we, really? Because that's like a century's worth of trauma that we're all dealing with.
Our generation have had it really shit. Think about millennials in general. We've lived through two financial crises. Now what is going to be 2 recessions? Essentially a global war with the war on Iraq and Afghanistan and all that sort of stuff. The housing market failed and crashed in America, which then rolled on over here, and then add in the change of fucking prime ministers and
the temp job that is a prime minister.
Yeah. So I think, not to make it sort of doom and gloom, but so I set up theLEAP just before the crisis. So 4 years ago I set up theLEAP. Okay. And obviously when the COVID first hit, just like everyone else, I thought this would be over in 6 weeks. It's just a blip in the road. And I know now you think that's just foolish. But I thought everyone was going to isolate for a bit, pop out, and we'd all be back to normal. But I think it's reasonable and expected for recruitment business owners to be looking at their cost base and looking for efficiencies. And with AI making such a noise in the market, I think it would be fair for them to consider, what could we replace? Where can we save costs by using these tools? So I thought, it'd be good to talk about that, because I think it's going to be something that marketers are worried about, and probably rightly so, because it's no doubt that recruitment leaders will be thinking, could AI replace my marketing headcount?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of different industries, marketing included, customer services, sales. There's so many different sectors where you could look at it and think, right, okay, can you replace a head of marketing, marketing director, CMO with all of the levels of experience they've got with AI right now? I don't think so, because there's so many different learns that person would have had, and the different types of experience that they would have had to kind of know what works and what doesn't work. And whilst AI has got a learning sort of capacity of 10x or something like that, it will probably get there faster. But
I don't think it's about, is it going to replace it right now? I think it's a case of, where's it heading, right? Because it's very, very fathomable that it can replace fathomable. Yeah. I did that the second time. Nathan, cut that. Yeah. I'll start again from now. Right, go. Right. It's very fathomable that in the next 5 years, a system of AI tools could replace a 500-person contact center very, very easily. You got Tesla already trialing the, using AI to try and sell one of their cars and stuff, and that's doing the rounds at the minute. And it's a bit like laggy, it's a bit delayed and whatnot, but the bare bones of it are there, right? So it's silly to sort of sit there and be like, no, right now it can't do it, so it's never going to be able to do it. But I think the difference is kind of, if you even just think back 15 years ago, content creation didn't exist as a job. Social media managers did not exist as a job. Copywriters had nowhere near the importance that they've enjoyed over the last sort of decade. There's marketing in general as an industry has always evolved and constantly is evolving to incorporate new roles and kind of new things that are important within that space. And I think AI isn't something I don't think that it's going to be replacing marketing teams. I think it'll be replacing people who don't know how to use it. And those who know how to use AI will remain in marketing, but just be infinitely better at their jobs, because all the stuff that you sit and struggle with, all the things that you kind of you see as a bit of a drag, can be automated and get a bot to do, which then leaves you to do the stuff that the bot can't do, which is be creative.
Would you say infinitely better, or could, on the flip side, it be inherently more lazy?
I don't know. It depends on what you do with the downtime, right? Now, look, if I was to say to you, listen, I can automate 50% of your day, what you do with that 50% of your time now saved is that's going to decide whether or not you're going to be better at your job or lazy, right? Because you could spend that time going, I'm just going to surf social media. I'm just going to chill. I'm just going to do something that's not work related. Or you could be like, now I've got time to really buckle down and think about some creative ideas, new entrants into markets, trends, do some data analysis, do some of the stuff that I wish I had the time to do, but I haven't got the time to do because I get told, right, can I have 6 blogs and 12 posts and this, which AI could do for you. Not necessarily great right now, but certainly in the future we'll be able to, I think.
Well, you're the expert.
What's your thoughts on that?
So I think it largely depends on what the expectations of the marketing function are in a business, because in the recruitment world, there's quite a wide spectrum in terms of what a marketing function looks like and what the expectations are on it. From one end, which is keeping the lights on, I'd call it, where for whatever reason the business leaders aren't bought into it, they don't believe they need it, perhaps they don't have the budget for it, and they're just looking for literally perhaps posting a couple of times a week on LinkedIn, a blog every now and again. There are firms doing that, right through to those that are taking it seriously, see it as a fundamental part of the business, have a strategy behind it. I would say that it could replace this end of the spectrum, because the caveat is, though, why could it replace it? I think in terms of keeping the lights on, posting 3 times a week, we were talking about it earlier, just churning out. And some recruitment firms, if you ask them what their marketing strategy is, I bet you there'd be a few that say, post every day on LinkedIn. Like, that's not a strategy, that's just a statement of how many times
that's a tick box, right?
Yeah.
What are you posting? chicken salad recipe. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
and it's one channel. It's not looking at like an integrated approach. But there's some who do that, and I think it's very easy with a tool like. Have you ever tried Taplio?
No.
Taplio. Don't know how they pronounce it. That's how I say it.
Bring it up, Nathan. Taplio.
How do you spell it?
Taplio.
Yeah. Taplio is.
You got a toilet.
Toilet water.
Taplio is definitely worth a look if
Still
you.
a personal brand.
Yeah, so you can post to a company account or a personal account from Taplio, and it's I like to try all of these, and I've got an account with Taplio. I still use it, but not in the same way. I set off doing what they sort of recommend to do, because on there you can literally generate a week's worth more of social posts that are relevant to you, your subject area, like. We were talking about selfies. It's not that. So basically, you put your keywords in. So say it could be on the sector you work in. So for me, I've got things like setup, lead generation, company growth, recruitment, staffing. Put in a bunch of keywords. The first thing you'll see is the most high-performing posts on those subjects over the last couple of years.
Okay.
And you get the opportunity to literally use that content and edit it. So you've got someone who got, say, 500 likes in 2001, say, on the topic, and you can just copy paste straight in to an editor and tweak it and make it your own. So all that thinking power, don't have to do. You just look at what are the other ideas. And then there's an AI generator where, based on your keywords, it will literally write posts for you. And you get given about one generation, you get, I think, 12 different posts. And sometimes, literally, like all of them are bang on. Hit schedule. There you go. You're posting every day. If that was the ambition and that was what you wanted to do, keep the lights on marketing. I think you do need someone who's going to go and do that. But does it need to be an experienced marketer? No. Like anyone with a login and the time to do it could do that. And when we get approached by companies, which we do every now and again, who that's what they're looking to achieve, we don't work with those companies, because we just we point them to AI tools. Because if that's what they're looking for, if they're like, yeah, I'm not that bothered, all I want is just someone to just look after my LinkedIn, I don't believe it's going to generate any leads, I just want something on there so it looks like we exist, then I'll just be like, you don't need us. Just
so if you're like an agency that's like here's £100 a month, that's all I want to spend, do my marketing for me, that they're the sort of people that you point towards the AI tools.
And they exist. Like, you do get those people who are like, what's your budget for £500 a month, and we want to post to all these different channels, just like use AI. But the downside, because it is good, it is very good, and it's probably better than what a lot of people could come up with on their own, just because time allowing and all of that. What you do notice, though, once you start using it, you start to see who's using tools like that. Yeah. You start to tune in to like the tone of voice,
the
almost.
Little nuances, and you're like, oh, that's very AI.
Yeah, and then you sort of quickly fall out with love with it again, because you realise, well, what am I even doing? I'm just churning out, and it's difficult to have an original.
But you're a professional in your field, so it's your job to identify these things, right?
Yeah.
You're not the audience.
No.
You're not that targeted audience. The targeted audience is the reader or the receiver of that message.
Yeah.
Who, if that person isn't looking at that going, that's very AI generated, it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter, does it?
No.
It is our job to point out these things and to notice that, oh, I know how you've done that, or I know why where you've got that from. I mean, I'd argue that, this is in my mind where kind of those customers will always exist, right? I only have a £100, £150, £200 a month budget because that's all they either want to, or they're on a journey. They're not ready to spend and invest in marketing. They have to go through let me see what it does, right? The try before you buyers and that kind of thing. The ones that go on Google AdWords and will chuck a tenner on a campaign and be like, oh, that worked, let me up that to 50, and so on and so forth. They still need that expert, because yes, they could go on the AI tool and do it themselves. Just like a business that doesn't always hire, but has a need to hire for a finance assistant, doesn't need to use a recruitment agency. They could just go onto Indeed, post an advert, and do the process. But what they're doing is they're going to an agency for that agency's expertise, right? So you absolutely could take that for £500 a month customer and still use AI, because they're still happy, right? What's their end goal? Their end goal is, I want to post 5 times a week on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter or whatever, and I want the content to be about my market. That's all that's there. That's
so you're saying to treat you like another member of the team then, right?
Yeah, but yeah. And I think for me, that's the mind shift change that needs to happen within a lot of industries, yours included, is it's not a you or them. It's you can use this tool that's going to make your job a ton easier and open you out to a market that you're not currently working with out of restraints of time. Because if I'm saying to you, Nicky, all I've got is £400 a month, you're sitting there immediately thinking, well, you want a lot for £400 a month. Oh, that's a lot of my time, and it's worth more than that.
Yeah.
But your AI license is only costing you what it's costing you, and you can service 15, 20 of me to justify that cost.
Yeah, well, what I like to do is point people in those scenarios, point them towards the AI tools, and they usually loop back round because they have a go with it, but then they realise now the content generation isn't the problem. Like they thought that's what they were trying to fix. Then it's, well, why am I doing it? Like, what am I actually trying to say? Like, what's the point?
I'm not the expert. I'm not the... They still need that marketing mind behind the AI tool. They need the strategy.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes one hurdle being taken away to realise that now... And I think that's the thing. Creating blogs is so easy now. And we had one client who said, like, I want to do this myself. But then we pointed them towards a couple of tools. They tried doing it and they realised it still takes time. Like, yes, you're not writing an 1,000-word blog, but thinking of the topics, keyword optimizing them, internal linking, publishing. Obviously, AI is supporting that, but they'll try. But then, as I said, inevitably it comes back round to, but what's the overall purpose of this? And I think it's so noisy now that I would argue posting blogs without strategy, posting daily without a purpose is almost as effective as not posting at all.
So what would a strategy look like then? So I'm your kind of relatively new startup agency, and I've identified a lot. Marketing is something that I need to
because everyone else is doing it. We need to do it.
I need to do, but I know nothing about it. In fact, I'm probably just talking about me, and I really
no. So your profile customer is the recruitment agency that's like, we've identified we need to post more on LinkedIn, right? Because our competitors are doing that, and our clients are mentioning that our competitors are doing that, but we have no idea where to start.
Even if it's not a case of my competitors doing it, I just for whatever reason I've had some sort of epiphany that I now need to.
You watched a Gary Vee video. That told you
whatever.
You need to,
but I now need to tap into a marketing expert. So I get in touch with you, Nick, and I'm like, right, okay, I need to figure out a marketing strategy, and I need to post more. I need to do more marketing. How do I do it?
I would rewind to the beginning. But one, look at your company goals. So in terms of marketing budget, it varies massively what people are allocating towards it, from say 5% to 30%, depending on the growth the company's aiming for. Some often larger firms will allocate less because they're already sort of more established. But if you're on a growth mission or looking to expand into multiple geographies, multiple sectors, if you've got multiple service lines, the budget weighting should be more. I can't remember what you asked me.
This is out of our experiences.
Yeah.
So I'm now coming to you for strategy.
Oh yeah. So what do you do? Yeah. So first of all, I would say be clear on what your company strategy is, and then marketing need to absolutely align with that. And I think this is key. And this is a problem I see come up quite a lot, is that people say you've got a global recruitment business, multiple regions, multiple markets, potentially even multiple brands, and they want their marketing function to be actively involved in lead generation, candidate attraction, employer branding to attract recruiters to want to work for the business, and internal comms to help keep morale and all that up. But they're willing to put 1 or 2 marketing people to that, often graduates, and then they're kind of like perplexed by why this isn't working out, and it's almost like I was thinking about it on the way down, and I thought, a recruitment company would never put a grad recruiter, albeit bright and enthusiastic and all of that, on a global market for roles from junior to senior and expect them to thrive fully across all those areas.
Go on, you've done the marketing degree. Go and do marketing now. Yeah, that's basically it.
So I think what I would say is think about, be realistic. What resources are you willing to commit, and then what goals do you want them to align to? So if it's going to be, if lead generation is the most critical and you've got X amount of resources, double down on that, and then think about which channels are most effective, not jumping straight to LinkedIn. I think because we're in the world of LinkedIn, it's like always there and we go default straight to it. But I think about the channel mix that you've got, and again, pick those that are the right, where your customers actually are. Who are you looking to actually engage with? So if it's candidate attraction, for example, that you want to align your marketing team to, and you want to measure them on the number of relevant candidates they bring in, then the team should come up with a strategy that actually targets where those people are. Are they on LinkedIn, or is it just us that's on LinkedIn talking to one another? Are they all perhaps on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or Twitch or the others that I've never even heard of, you know?
Yeah.
Or like, would it be better to focus more on website optimization, search? So
they can find you rather than you finding them.
Yeah. And then I think it's about, so once you've got your goal and you're like being realistic about what you want to measure your marketing team on, then I think it's about, and you know where your customer is, you've identified that. Then it's like, well, how can we add value to these people? Like what problem? And that's what AI can't currently do. They don't know your audience like you know them, either as a salesperson or a marketing person. Yeah.
You've got to prompt it with that, right?
So. Yeah, exactly. And if you can do that, and then you're in the right place, you're meeting their need, you're solving a problem, you're showing understanding and how you can provide a solution, then you're off. But if you jump straight into, I want to post 3 times a week on LinkedIn, you kind of missed a few stages there of actually identifying the channels, the audience.
Identify why you want to post on LinkedIn 3 times a week, right? But I suppose, because I guess the thing with posting 3 times a week on LinkedIn is that everyone talks about these algorithms, and for you to have access to a network of or your own network anyway, you have to post X amount of times and you have to be active on it. And if you're not active on it, then you fall down the pecking order when it comes to the algorithm. So I think there's an element of that, isn't there, when it comes to just jumping on a platform and posting. But beyond that then, okay, so if we've then decided, right, here's my strategy. So my strategy is candidate attraction. The one thing that I'm shit at is getting new candidates in. Now, you and I have spoken and we've established, okay, I've got 300 quid a month. That's all I'm prepared to. Look at the face just dropped as I fucking yeah, but I've got 300 quid a month.
Yeah. How many candidates?
But what I need to do is and don't get me, and this is where I think a lot of our listeners are going to be sitting there like their drawers dropping, like 300 quid a month. I can't afford 300 quid a month on marketing. How do I do it? So if I've now got a £300 a month budget to start with, and I decide, okay, well, what can you do with that? How do we best approach this?
So in terms of content creation,
or just kind of following on from the strategy,
a candidate generation strategy. So here is my issue. I've got a ton of jobs. I've got no candidates for them. And I need to attract more candidates, which makes me more money, which means I can up my budget from 300 to 600, and then from 6 to 12, and so on and so forth.
I see.
Now we're talking about language. 600. The truth is, the people that we both speak to as part of kind of rec tools, that's the journey they're on. The majority of businesses in the UK that are recruitment agencies are sub 10 staff and are cash strapped. And so they can't. Would they love to have an ex-FTSE listed kind of head of marketing come in and direct their business? Absolutely. Can they afford your time? Unfortunately, not. And that's why so many turn to things like AI tools that are free, or just let's just start posting 3 times a day and see if that works, and then we'll up that, right? So I come down, I sit down, we've established. I need more candidates. Yeah. So if I get more candidates, I'll fill more jobs. I'll make more money. And then I can go, okay, that 300 was great. Let's make that 6. And then let's make that 6 12. And make that 2.5, and so on and so forth. Where's the starting point?
I quite like the challenge of candidate attraction, £300 a month. What do? You don't have an internal marketing team, say.
Yeah.
So
if that's you, reach out.
yeah. So what I think I would
well,
do...
don't reach out yet. Let's just see what she says first.
Yeah, but I guess...
Take your £300 and shove it.
yeah.
Buy 10 ads on Reed.
Yeah, that's probably the best place, to be honest. But yeah, let's excluding job boards and job ads. So let's just take that out.
Yeah, because that's already in the budget. That's already been spent.
Yeah, that's a separate line item in the budget, right?
Exactly.
So, well, I hope so. Otherwise, they're going to struggle.
No, that includes, that includes my Reed credits.
They got two LinkedIn ads there, and that's it. So what I would suggest is, pinpoint which profile of candidate you're actually looking to target. So whether it's a senior, like a level of seniority, or a sector, like narrow down as much as you can, so you can be really effective. Then think about, where is this person? And if you're already in that space, ask people. So don't just assume, well, I'm on LinkedIn, they must be on LinkedIn, we're a bit the same. Like, speak to 10. They're on the phone all day anyway, recruiters. Like, just ask them at the end of the call, like, just out of curiosity, what social platforms do you, what websites do you like to visit? Are you subscribed to any newsletters? Like, which ones do you like, enjoy? Nice talking point as well, like something...
That's fascinating, because I'll tell you now, in over 10 years of doing this, I've never asked the candidate that question. And it's so stupid. Well, why would you not, right?
Yeah.
Like, where can I find more of you? You're a great candidate. What are you doing? What's your profile persona?
Yeah.
Let me find more of you. Yeah. Because they might go, I'm on Reddit. Fucking hell, I need a company Reddit account. Or I need to be on Reddit. That's where these guys are. Discord, or whatever it might be. Slack, Stack Overflow, whatever.
That's I think that's the number one, like, flaw often, is that we follow our own gut feeling too much, when actually, if you just speak to the people, especially as you're speaking to them anyway, like, there's so much communication between recruiters and candidates or clients, but in this scenario, talking to candidates, just 100%, just ask them, like, make it a thing at the end of every call, just a couple of questions, like, what do you enjoy reading, which blogs do you use, what are you on a podcast? Because then you might spot, hopefully there's a trend in there. I'm sure there probably would be if you spoke to enough people. So I'd say, like, 30. If you get insight from roughly 30, you can start to
good sample size.
Yeah, good sample size. You start to sort of spot a trend. So it doesn't have to be get a market research agency, put a load of. It doesn't have to be that. Like, any insight. Do your own
market research. Basically.
Yeah, do your own. Yeah.
But so far, of that £300, you've spent nothing.
Spent nothing.
But what you now have is a persona of what you're targeting.
Yeah.
And a data set of where those people are, or where those people engage and hang out the most.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you could also ask, like, what are the main challenges you're facing in your role at the minute? So this isn't to do with job hunting or careers. This is literally, like, in their role, in their day-to-day life, what challenges are they coming up against? So it could be massive pressure on budgets at the minute, or it could be a technology like nuclear's, I don't know, nuclear's taken off and we're in it, and it's which one's going to win the battle for most renewable. I don't know. You get the idea. But clearly, I'm not in that.
I was going to go down. No. Explain. You went down a rabbit hole.
Nuclear. Something was on my feed the other day.
Nuclear bucket.
I'll rewind on that. But get them to expand on what's actually going on for them. Like,
when you say for them, do you mean in their industry as a candidate, or do you mean in their life?
In their industry as a candidate.
Well, let's kind of hone in on persona. So let's kind of create just a persona, just so that we're kind of all in the same page, right? So we talk to marketing managers effectively, right? So marketing managers, their biggest gripe at the moment with their job, their industry, or whatever is that budgets are strapped. I can't get enough money to spend on what my
MD gave me £300 and told me he wants more candidates.
Yeah, but if, say 10 people told you that,
it's like the same thing.
What I'd be looking to do, is think, well, actually, there's a lot of people are struggling to get budget commitment for, say, a new piece of technology. Like, why don't we create a deck that does that for them, that basically explains the value add of investing in new technology, just so they don't have to put the effort in. We do the research, show the stats, and then create that as a download, a content piece, spin-off content off the back of it, all generated by the AI tools we can talk about in a minute. And then you've got your target audience, you said marketing managers, you've identified the fact they've got this challenge around budget, you've created an asset that solves that problem for them, you've spoken to them on the phone, so you know what platforms they like to use, and actually over everything, they spend more time on Instagram than they do LinkedIn. So put it there, promote it there, double down on that.
Right, so then what you're saying then is kind of sponsor those. So if you create this pitch deck, put it on Instagram, and then just put a couple of quid behind it, and then see kind of what interaction you get, or what would you do with that then?
So I would create the asset first. So say the lead gen piece is going to be that downloads that we talked about. Then I would create spin-off assets that promote that, not necessarily just post a pitch deck, but it might be like a video.
Yeah, are you struggling with this?
Yeah.
50% of the people we're speaking to right now are telling us this, and kind of like, so that your persona have given you the insights that they're struggling with. You've got the market research. You're now creating a load of content off the back of that market research to basically attract more of those personas, because if it speaks to you, it's 100% going to speak to people like you.
Yeah.
And that's not promoting it in the sense of slapping 100 quid behind it on Instagram ads. That's just get it out there because you're going to share it. And the likelihood is that you are also friends with or follow or are connected to other marketing people who will then see it and like and share it to their network. And organically that will kind of spread the message without you having to spend. So my 300 quid is still sat there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think...
Which is key, right?
Yeah.
I'm a business owner. I don't know how to do marketing. That's what I'm coming to you for. All I know is I've got £300 and I need more candidates.
So if I was so what I would look to do in that instance is, rather than necessarily preach from my perspective, I would look to get others in my target audience, because people will listen to their peer group more than they will an external provider. So in that instance, you could find marketing managers. Say you've been speaking to a candidate who you know has a great budget, they're using loads of cool tools. Like, why not invite them on a podcast or something like this to talk about how they managed to secure budget? Like, what did they do to convince their firm that it was a worthwhile investment? And then they share it, and then other people of the similar profile that you're looking to attract, going back to that candidate attraction piece, listen, and there you go. They go, and then you've got this download piece, and it all sort of strings together. There would be some time and effort involved, but you've still not parted with your 300 quid.
My £300 is still there. All I've lost is my time and effort, which I'm currently doing, spending on job boards, on LinkedIn, and bashing the phones.
Right? Yeah. But so far, I have no access to those candidates who have read any of that content that I put out yet, have I? Because whilst I've created the content, I've shared it, and my marketing managers have shared it, I'm still
There's that sales side of it.
Yeah.
If it works, it's marketing. If it doesn't work, you haven't given enough time.
But I still have no candidates.
No, I think that's where you need to map out your journey. And I think what people often fall short on is actually thinking through, beginning to end, what is the final destination? And they almost plug that.
It's a film about how people die and then
there's new films.
I don't do. Don't confuse me now. So what people often start with is, I want to post 3 times a week. What can I post about? And then they're like, oh, but all these could be leading somewhere. I should try and string it together, but start at the end. So we talked about that download asset as an example. So if that's the destination, that's where you want everyone to end up. I don't think any social post, if it's a campaign, should have a dead end. There shouldn't be just posting for nothing. It should be to find out more about this, or to check out our blog on securing budget.
Call to actions.
Go here, and then you go one step further. You don't go in from the social post to give me your details now. Like you need to. But see it as
so many do that.
Yeah.
So many do that.
You need to build, see it as I don't know, imagining
Hansel and Gretel's kind of breadcrumb trail. Yeah,
that's it. I'm glad you knew what I meant.
As soon as you did that, I got this.
I'm still thinking about the nuclear stuff. It's like, where does the nuclear come in?
Yeah. But it's like little bits of bait, and then all that time you're building trust, and they're starting to see you as someone who gets them, and that's valuable.
The brand equity, isn't it? That's what that's building, right? So,
yeah.
Okay.
And then where's your lead list? The downloads of the template.
Okay.
But not to say jump in and hammer the phone to them all. Then you can start.
You like my post? Now come and be my candidate.
Yeah.
Then you need your second piece ready to nurture them. So once you've gotten them in an email list, effectively, then you want to start continuing to add value.
Whether that's inviting them on a 20-minute podcast to discuss something, or whether that's
so
build the relationship out from there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the start of the strategy, and so far we haven't spent any of the £300 that I've got committed. So what's the follow-on then? How do we then how would you use things like the AI tools, and how would you use kind of the tools available to you then to kind of utilize my £300 best and start then seeing candidates trickling through?
Yeah, so say we've said we want to create this budget template idea. So after that, then we talked about the trail of sweets, or whatever we're going to call it. The
breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs. I'm imagining Skittles, something more colourful than...
piece of candy.
Yeah. I think candy is going to be... Must have been tough times for them to follow a trail of breadcrumbs. But like... But yeah, so then
That's what their budget is, the breadcrumbs.
Yes. So then I would go on to AI tools. So there's a couple that I've tried recently called Writer is a good one.
Is that spelled as it sounds, like WRI?
Yeah, and there's another one called Write Sonic. I believe I don't know how they say it, but Write Sonic.
No, pull them up.
Yeah, can you scroll down a little bit? Oh, it's on...
Yeah, it's on there. That's it. Right, so we've got Writer and
Write Sonic, Jasper. There's a whole bunch.
And these are all content creation tools then?
All content creation tools. And what I love, so I set myself and my team a little challenge the other day. We tried 5 different tools, and we had an idea in mind. So this was like a real brief from a client in terms of a content piece that we had to create. And we had a rough theme, but no titles, no idea of structure. And what we did, took our rough keywords, title, pop them in, and then immediately you've got 10 different blog ideas off the back of that. And then you pick one. Next stage is the outline. You don't have to do anything. So this is literally like zero thought gone into it, other than I want it to be about budget allocation, securing budget. So you'd get like 10 different titles around budget. Okay, I like that one. I like that one. Next step, this is what your outline could be. It's going to show you. It's easier to correct something than think of it from scratch.
Yeah.
So you'll see, oh, okay, that's good, but they've not addressed this, and you can add that in. And then one of the tools, I think it might have been as either Write Sonic or Writer, will then actually pull articles off the web that have been written on a similar topic. You can go through and see which ones are most relevant, pick your, say, 5, and it will pull that into a brand new article written just for you, unique content, but based on those themes. Literally 2 minutes later, you've got an article on that topic.
And it's not that you've just gone, write me a blog on this, like you would on ChatGPT. You've been involved in that creative process, so you're steering it at the same sort of time, right?
Yeah, I find ChatGPT, you have to think about the prompts you're giving it. I mean, you have to I know it does a lot of thinking for you, and this is a bit lazy to say, but Writer, Jasper and Write Sonic, they take you through a flow. Like, for example, they will ask for a link to the brand guidelines you're looking to follow. So in this instance, we put in the client's website. It basically scans all their content to get their tone of voice. So the output is not just in write it in a casual, informal tone, which is what you could put in, say, ChatGPT. It's actually taken all the content they've written over the past few years, mirrored the language, and created an output. I mean, what it's not got in there, which I would recommend adding to avoid it being too generic, is that quotes, like you might want to add a customer story, like make it your own, because otherwise it will be good, but it will just feel a bit heartless almost, a bit too like AI generated. But as you said, I think it's those in the industry.
But that's the stuff you already know, right? If you think about from a creative writing process, the stuff that you would generally struggle with the most is that kind of generic overarching content, because you know that it's like, oh, we have this really good review left for us by this candidate, and I'd like to turn that into some sort of article. You've already got that kind of brand equity piece that you need to insert, and these tools are essentially helping you build the overarching theme. But again, I'll take it back to the point though of, these tools are just helping you do your job better. They're not replacing you.
No.
They're making you do your job quicker and more efficiently, because I can tell you that if I was to say to Sean, here's a tool that will write a blog, he's not going to be thinking about things like brand, tone, kind of keeping. He's just going to kind of be like, oh, I don't like that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, actually, on that, to be fair, if I was to jump on GPT and I'm trying to think of what I want to put down on LinkedIn. So if I'm thinking of a post, I'd be like, right, okay, write me a post about blah blah blah, and then I see it, and I end up using it as a sounding board, and I'm like, now fix this, now do that, now do this. I'm like, right, I know what I want to write now, and I'll just jump on, I'll just type it out myself, because then in the end, I'm like, once I'm flowing, I'm all right, and I can do that. But actually, what GPT's done is it's allowed me to kind of just think about how I would want to
creative process flowing for you.
And it's almost just a sounding board for me, rather than you spat an article out, copy paste done.
Yeah, it's not often that you get, but that I like that factor with it. Same with Taplio, going back to that social media tool I was talking about before, because you read other people's views and it gives you opinions almost. And you're like, oh, I don't know if I agree with that, but I do think this. And then suddenly you've got like an idea. Whereas if you were from scratch, it's sometimes just like
pure
tumbleweed.
Sitting there like something nuclear. Good, bad,
am I going to live that down? No.
I don't know.
We're actually going to market this as the nuclear podcast. Okay, so but at this point now, you've gone on, you've used Jasper, Writer-Sonic, or kind of Writer-Sonic, and you've kind of taken my idea, or we've kind of conceptualized what we're trying to do. How much has this cost me so far then? So now, as my kind of, I'm the recruitment business owner now, and we're looking for marketing managers. You've kind of given me a strategy. We're now using the AI tools. Have I spent any money yet?
Well, the AI tools are like up to, and the most expensive is probably about $40 a month. So the subscriptions aren't expensive. Like, I dread to think how many I've set up and forgotten about, to be honest, because I'm always trialing them. And they come up with two, they all
money
have...
bags over here.
No, I just like to, I think in marketing, you've got to be inquisitive and curious, because...
And rich, apparently.
And rich.
They're used to spending other people's money, aren't they?
Got no budget. Yeah, it was because they're all in trials. That's why.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I don't know what this £40 is. I just charge them it. Put it down as like, I don't know, just PPC costs.
PPC costs. Yeah, but you always get a 14-day free trial, and often you don't even need to put your card details in to start. You get a taster for free. So it is really time here. It's still time. And then what you would need is, say, like a landing page for this campaign that we're talking about. So you would need someone to build that on your existing website. That's kind of key, because you need, talking about, well, people have seen it, but what I've still not got any leads. You need that hub, that place where the conversion is going to take place. That's your end goal. Everything else is getting people there. So your blog is obviously not going to, some of them do prompt you, like, what's the call to action at the end of this blog? So it could be, we've created a template, a download that can help you with this, secure your budget in, just 2 minutes or whatever. Get the download here, and then you've got it. What it's also not going to do is obviously create that nurture flow for you. But then, AI isn't going to replace the need for someone to orchestrate this. What it does do, as you said, is it frees up. I think as marketers, for years, we've been bogged down in the doing, and often criticised for that. Oh, you're so busy. Yeah. Well, you're so busy with your blogs, but why are we doing it? But now, creating the blog takes a few minutes plus editing. So I don't want to, underplay what's involved. To create a really good blog, it's obviously going to take longer than that, but you can get something out in literally, let's say an hour, once you've edited it, tweaked it, added your call to actions, got it on the website and stuff like that. But what it frees you up is to focus on the strategy and think about that overall piece. So I would say that's where marketers need to go. Like, because I think sometimes not everyone is naturally sort of strategic, thinking about the end journey. I don't blame them for that, because the recruitment industry does sort of make us into content creation machines.
Churn machines.
Churn machines. And you never really get a chance to think, why am I doing this again? Or where's this ending up? You sort of follow what you're being asked to do. But I would say to recruitment business owners, instead of asking your marketing team for stuff, set them goals and let them come up with the route. Because like as a marketing director or whatever, when I was in-house, you'd have people, I want this. And it would be like, going back, showing my age, going back 10 years, I want a brochure on X. and not like what are you actually trying to achieve with that?
Yeah,
why? Oh, well, I'm actually struggling to target professionals in the nuclear industry.
And they love brochures.
And they love brochures. And then you're like, well,
I think they love brochures. Yeah.
I think they love brochures. But then you can be like, well, actually, tell me more about the profile that you're looking to target. What's the struggle that you're having?
But more importantly, you have a marketing function who could do that research for you and come back to you with a solution. The problem isn't that you need a brochure. Your problem is, I'm struggling to get nuclear candidates.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll look into why, what do they want, how best to engage with them, and I'll come back to you with a strategy.
Yeah.
And what AI tools do is give you the time to focus on that strategy and that learning, rather than the man wants a fucking brochure, I'm going to have to put him together a brochure. Like, do you know what I mean?
I think there is a definite trap of people pleasing that comes with being in a marketing function in a recruitment
justify
company.
Your existence, that's why.
Yeah, well, you do get like that though. But it's I don't even know I'm not very good with phrases, but it is a bit of a dead end. Like, it doesn't work because trying to people please all the time, you make a lot of short-term friends, but when it comes to reviewing the budget, everyone looks at it. Yeah, nice to have around, does everything I ask, but what are they actually delivering in terms of ROI? And then when times get tough, you get cut. You're better off being strategic from the get-go, pushing back, asking more questions. Like I said, okay, you're saying you want a brochure. What's actually underlying this request? But then delivering, you can't ask those things and then take 6 months to come up with something. But with AI now, there's no excuse really, because even if you could even ask tools like, I want to target this audience, what do you recommend? What challenges? And you could get all that equally quickly. So it's like putting rocket boosters on the team. I'm excited by it. Like, I think
Clay, I like the fact that you and the team have tried out different ones, and you've come armed today with like, this one's a good one, this one's a good one, this one's a good one. Because a lot of the people in marketing that I've spoken to and seen content from, it all seems to be it's us versus AI, and AI is coming for us, but AI can't do this, and you're paying me for this, and it's like, you don't have to justify your existence against AI.
No,
because you could use it to take on. So those £400-500 a month budget customers that you've been historically turning away, you now have the capacity to be like, we could take them on. I could dedicate a half an FTE to that resource, and actually churn out profitable work, and grow some of those £400-500 budget customers to 8,000-9,000. You know what I mean? Like, and really boost out that kind of return on investment.
The challenge
which you're currently unable to do, because then it's a case of, I need 5 of those customers to be able to hire one person to justify the cost of that one person, and then hope that one of those works out.
I think the challenge you have is that there are still going to be a large set of people who are going to be annoyed at the fact that AI has been used to do something. And until if like
why is that? Well, I know what you mean. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, look at this AI generated post, and it's like, why does that bother you? Like,
yeah, I don't personally get it.
That's like going. Let's cast our minds back. Like well, imagine 30 years ago, walking past and being like, look at that sign that was printed. I remember it used to be hand printed signs. That's a printed sign. That cheated.
I feel like you may have gone way too far.
Yeah, like but to me, that's the equivalent. That's the equivalent. Yeah. Like I see it a lot. You're right. And I don't understand it. Like, I hate AI generated content.
Do you know what it is? It's belief, right? So you're a big believer in AI. Right?
Yeah.
And your mindset automatically is AI is a good thing, right? And your belief system is as such, right? There are some people out there whose belief system is totally opposite, because there are people out there who think, and again, a lot of that is like social media scaremongering and all that sort of, AI is going to come for your jobs, AI is going to do this, AI is going to do that, machine empire, fucking Skynet, that sort of stuff. And Skynet's from a documentary called Terminator.
All right, no, I did need that explaining. Yeah, I've gone dead behind the eyes. You saw it, right?
yeah. It's like, oh, Metal Man. I remember that one. Yeah, there's 4 of them. But
so there's people out there who are genuinely worried that AI is going to take their jobs, and their belief is that no, I can't get on board with this, and I refuse to get on board with it, because if I do, then I'm potentially putting myself out of a job. I mean, you look at, let's say, engineers. I won't go as far back as what you did, but engineers, there was a time where the robot arms from like Durr and Kamau and those sort of robotics businesses was taking over jobs for engineers in the manufacturing place. Now that's still not the case, is it? I think what happens is ultimately people use technology to what it's capable of and to its limit, and then they decide, right, okay, this, I've taken AI as far as it can go now. Anything beyond this, it's just shit, so it doesn't work. And I think we're just on that journey at the minute.
Yeah, I think, if anything, because obviously we use a really large freelance network at theLEAP, so we're a small sort of in-house business, and we focus on strategy, and we use freelance specialists. That's our model.
On Fiverr.
On Fiverr, yeah, freelance specialist. Yeah, but what I've actually found,
or just so happens to be based in like far away countries where minimum wage is very low.
Yeah, but to create copy before, I've actually found the shift towards proper specialists. Like in terms of now, say for blog writing, we don't actually use AI because, I mean, we use it as a starting point, but for a client, it very rarely, now the benchmark has just gone up. Like you can't produce that anymore as an agency because it's what can be done for $40 a month. So we can't do that because that's then
you've got to be better.
Got to be better, and how we're better, and it's forcing us to up our game in terms of the writers we use. So yeah, gone are the days of like getting someone over on Fiverr to write a blog, because now AI could do that. In fact, it's more those who have years of experience, who've written for some of the large like corporates and have all that. They can bring a unique perspective. You almost need more like journalistic skills to create a really valuable piece. And what I'm so delighted to see is some clients, I say going back to, but it almost reminds me of years gone by, like say 10 years ago.
Days.
Yeah.
When people used to draw their own posters.
The good old days when you actually do proper market research, spend a few months creating a really valuable report and planning a full campaign around it. Because now there's so much nothingness that actually that is what's going to stand out again. Yeah. And I really hope that's a trend, because I find the whole pace of content creation and the noise really tiring.
It's Wild West, isn't it? It's a Wild West at the minute.
It is, yeah.
You're absolutely right. I think that it creates this opportunity for people then to do things properly.
Yeah.
Create some real value content and put that out there.
Yeah,
I love the idea of getting the recruitment teams to ask their candidates the questions. Do you know what I mean? Do you get them to do the market research? You don't need a marketing team that's you're bashing the phones to those candidates that have already been spoken to by the recruiters to ask them, do you mind if I ask you a few marketing questions?
Yeah.
You just get your sales team to do it. Get that valuable information and take that to your marketing department and say, do something with this. We've got some raw data here that really means something but then it comes back to the point we were talking about off camera, where marketing and sales have always seemed to be at loggerheads, whereas in kind of marketing is head office and sales and customer service are front line, and they don't like each other and they don't talk to each other. And marketing need data, they go to data people, and the sales lot and the front line are always like, well, why don't you ask us? And there's always that disconnect.
But that's such a small thing that would bring the two together, because then if the recruiters have seen and heard the responses from candidates, they've given that intel to marketing, and then they produce content that addresses that, then suddenly we're working as a team, right?
Yeah, you're coming back with like an arsenal of like, here's information that you can then take back out to your market and stand out against not only your competitors, but stand out to the target candidate that you're trying to target.
Yeah, and that's all anyone wants, because I think then the salespeople would have an appreciation for, actually, this isn't probably the topic I would have chosen, but we didn't choose it, and nor did marketing. It was almost chosen by our audience.
Yeah.
Because that's where I think, I want to write about this, and marketers are just as bad for it. I'm interested in this. I've got an idea. I want to run with it. And
every department within every business is ultimately self-serving, and I don't mean that in the negative. I mean that in kind of the nicest way, because somebody in IT will want to use the best tech stacks. They'll want to use that because they feel and they believe that, okay, well, this is the best thing for what we're trying to do. Marketing will feel like doing it heading into a strategy is the best thing because that's what will generate the best return. Sales will be no, I want to do this way because their belief is such. And I think that ultimately really comes down to the company's message and its core values then, doesn't it? Which is like, okay, here's what we're trying to achieve as a business. Let's all strive to get there.
Yeah, sales, what do you think? IT, what do you think? And
bringing them all together.
Yeah, it's the top down thing though, isn't it? Because if the culture is top down, we're going to tell you how you're going to do things, then everyone's going to be like, well, I would have done it this way, or this is important to me, and you'll go, this is important to me, and everyone's kind of going off in different directions except for that way,
Yeah, and that's where you get the conflict, I think. Because I'm always kind of amazed and intrigued when I speak to it's normally new companies that are approaching, and they'll say, "Oh, have a look at my website. Like, what do you think? Are we good at marketing? Or look at my LinkedIn. Are we good?" I was like, one, I'm not the target audience. Two, I can't see any of your data from this. Like, how many it's more like, does it look pretty? I don't know what you're asking me.
Look at my shiny Pokemon card. Look how good it is.
Here's a selection of my things.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, well done.
That's a really funny question. I put that up there with, when Steve Guest came on, he gets people calling him, like, "Are you really top biller, mate? Like, how much do you bill?"
How much did you bill? Yeah.
Look at my website. Look how good it is. Shut up.
Tell me I'm good.
What is
That's all they want. They just want a little ego boost from. Well, take the compliment, right? They're asking you because they obviously rate your opinion enough.
Yeah, and I do. That's always nice, but it's again missing the point of I'm not the target audience, and whether I like something or not is kind of
almost irrelevant, isn't it?
It's definitely irrelevant. I think that's the first thing we've got to learn is our opinion doesn't matter. It's the target audience, and if you can get over that and just think about them, I think that in itself would align marketing with sales. Because rather than I know better than you, it's actually let's just agree to hear it from our customer and be led by them, and then let's work together to make it happen.
100%. Yeah, I think so, and I think ultimately, both divisions within kind of marketing and sales, they're both focused on results, aren't they?
Should be, yeah.
Yeah, and if they're not, that's a totally different question. But if they're focused on results and results alone, then really they should be heading in the same direction. And if exactly like you said, if the customer is saying, "I need you to provide me with more nuclear power," right? As a sales and marketing division, you need to be able to then focus on how do we get the end user to kind of get to that point. But the problem is, like we mentioned off camera, which is that sales is always totally separate, marketing, and they're never really within close proximity to each other.
Yeah, I think it's the goals as well. Because if you said to a marketing function, if you set them the goal of, we need to post every day on LinkedIn and I want 3 bits of content a month, they will deliver that and they will expect you to be happy because that's what you asked for.
That's what you asked for. Yeah.
But it's not what you really wanted. It's what you asked for, but what you really wanted is 5 leads a month. If you want 5 leads a month, just tell your marketing team you want 5 leads a month. And then they'll start thinking, well, how are we going to generate these leads? And then they'll start.
But let them decide how.
How.
You give them the what and let them decide the how. And too often it's the what is the, I want to post this many times. And it's like, well, that's not the what. No.
Yeah.
What are you aiming to get out of that, right?
Yeah, and it will always be someone quoted that they've seen on TikTok or some. Yeah. It's always some external person that's passing in their feed.
That must be a gut punch as well, though, right? So listen, that's great, but this one
Stephen
guy,
Bartlett's podcast
this guy on TikTok told me this, so I need you to do that now, and it's like, I work in your business. You pay me to control this element.
Yeah.
And you're not, rather than asking me, hey, what do you think about this? You're telling me what we're doing now.
It's a phenomenon I want to look into because I think it must have a name and it must be a real thing. The fact that
coin it.
Well, the fact that when you're external, like say you're in the interview process to join a business, they're really bought into your knowledge, your background, your experience. They think you're bang on. As soon as you're in, it's like, somehow surrounded by suspicion. And I've just seen this guy on TikTok. I don't know his background. He could have just graduated, but he seemed to nail the delivery. And I'd like to follow his strategy. So just do as I ask.
So on that then, you've got to give us a horror story. Give us a really bad horror story of somewhere. You'd have to, it'd be good if you could give names, but just don't. But don't.
Name the individuals.
Yeah.
We'll take them in.
Yeah. But give us a proper horror story of where you've had like an issue with either a potential client or a previous manager who's just been like, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it.
To be fair, it's not so much with clients now at theLEAP, and I'm not just saying that, but I think that's more perhaps from my experience. I'm less, not less into, obviously we want to please our clients, but I know what they actually want. So when they ask for something, I know that's not what they really mean.
And as a business, you're also qualifying out the people that you don't want to work with.
Yeah. Well, when people call and say, look, I know marketing's not going to make me money, but I need to keep the lights on my LinkedIn account, we know it's not a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
You know, you're starting on the back foot.
Surely not.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but you know.
I don't rate you at all, but I will need to work with you.
You'd be surprised. But going back, I think that I only sort of got to that place and almost like the confidence to ask different questions, having had a long stint in-house of people pleasing and then realising that wasn't the right way. But you can't...
Stop scaring the question. I want a horror story.
To be honest, there was never a horror story. I just think it's...
all right, a gentle thriller then.
I think it's just you can't make up for a lack of experience. You know, when you're 25, you're 25. You want to please people in the workplace. So you do what they ask. And it's only when a few years on, when, you know, in your performance reviews, well, how many leads has this actually generated? You know, at one firm, it was always like, it feels grey. I want it to be black and white. I want to know which channels you need to double down on. I want to know exactly which channels are generating ROI. And it felt like so mean. It felt like, come on, but we've done all of this stuff. But then it was actually going through that and realising the stuff didn't matter. Like, we almost got too much, I think, as marketers.
Too involved in and focused on the stuff.
And enjoy it.
The outcome.
Yeah, I don't know whether, I'm probably talking for myself, but it might be a trait of marketers in general. We enjoy the creative process. We get really into ideas. And sometimes we can miss the end goal. But now, you know, experience under the belt, you don't do that anymore. You still enjoy the process. But when you're, say, as an agency, you know, 30-day cancellation terms, every month you're proving yourself. You can't join a call and just be like, I did this. That's not what they want to hear. But you don't learn that when you're in-house and you know you're going to get paid the next month. It takes experience, I think.
I mean, we have that in that you enjoy the creative process way more than I do. Like, when it comes to anything creative, I'm like, Nick, listen, we need to just get a new logo. We need to do this. We need to do that. He's like, yeah, love it. I'm on it. And he'll do all of that. Me, I just look at it and I'm like stick man on with like a fucking hat on. Yeah, that's our new logo. Great. Now let's actually get to doing the do. And that's where I think we kind of complement each other really well, in that the stuff that I really hate, he loves it, and the stuff that he hates, I love. Because you hate processes, you hate...
I think it's a self-awareness thing as well, though, right?
Yeah.
It takes a lot, like, and I think you're right, that comes with maturity. You know, when you're 25, you don't even want to accept your flaws, let alone kind of...
the best thing is to slice bread, aren't you?
Have you even got flaws when you're 25? I miss the days where I thought I knew everything, and there was a time when I genuinely thought I did. I 100%, I remember.
And then you find yourself in front of 150 people doing... my God.
But now it's like I kind of miss that. They just being
blind
that bold.
arrogance.
Yeah, blind arrogance.
Yeah.
And now it's almost scary how little I know, that awareness, and just being like, but now I just can find it exciting. And I think to be good in marketing, you have to be curious all the time. And if you're not, you probably will be replaced by AI. Because if you're not that interested and you're not looking to self-improve and adopt new things, then you will be replaced by a robot.
I said this on the roundtable. I firmly believe that you're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by people who can use AI better than you.
And it's a level playing field at the minute. There's no experts in it. We were talking about that before. Like, I'm not claiming to be
I'm sure
an
there
AI.
are on LinkedIn by now.
Oh, yeah. But I'm certainly no AI expert. And it's only been around a few years, and half these tools, they're evolving so rapidly. You could pick any one of them up, dedicate a week, and you could call yourself an expert on it, because you probably would be out of those who've never tried it. Yeah.
I mean, I saw this TikTok the other day, which is where I get all of my information from. And I saw on it was BBC One News yesterday. 28% of under 40s use TikTok as their main source of news. 25% is YouTube, and the other 25% is Meta in some form.
Yeah, it doesn't say Facebook used to be quite high up.
Insta or Facebook. But yes, I saw this thing, and it was the guy who runs Google, and he was like, look, our AI tool knows a lot more than GPT and OpenAI. So we know that for a fact, but we're slowly feeding it knowledge, because we can then control the kind of the rate at which it's learning, but also implement safety measures within that as well. Because they mentioned there was something within the AI, I think I might have sent you the TikTok, there was something within the AI that it ended up learning. That was it. It ended up learning a whole new language on its own. They input a couple of phrases in Bangladeshi, and it was literally just 2 or 3 sentences. And off the back of that, the very next interaction it had, it was fluent in Bangladeshi. It learned everything.
Oh, really?
And it was communicated. So he goes, we saw that, and that frightened the life out of us, because we were like, shit, that we didn't even tell it to learn that. It just went ahead and did that. So because of that, it's reined it in quite a bit. So I think AI is actually way, way further than we even know that it is. But we're just seeing very small snippets of it for now.
Well, right now, what we've got is like the kind of the toddler baby version of what it is actually capable of and stuff like that, right? And then that opens up a whole new argument of things like, you know, sort of capability, sentience, and all that sort of stuff. But right now, I just think it's like, listen, this can make your fucking job so much easier and so much quicker. And you know, time is the one thing that none of us have got, right? In the like, it's that one resource that's only going one way. So what do you want to do? Do you want to sit there and be grafting, writing out these things because, you know, it's not an AI written blog, I need to make an organic one, it's going to take me 10 hours? Or do you want to get something that is, you know, usable and effective and at the end of the day is appreciated by the end user in the space of an hour or two, and have those 8 hours to yourself?
Yeah.
You know, to either focus on yourself and do something for your own mental health, or like, I just see it, there's so many facets to it. For me, I'm like, AI could be the factor that improves people's work-life balance. But for some reason, there just seems to be such a kind of...
Because the history dictates things like self-service checkouts. When self-service checkouts first came out, everyone was like, I'm not fucking using that. I'm not. And there was a big protest of, no, if I don't use it, people will keep their jobs. And then people started like, fuck using
it. But are there a bunch of people walking the streets or homeless that are like, I used to be a checkout assistant at Tesco's. Then the machines came and took my job. No, they just retrain and do something else. But that's how the world evolves. No, how many sign writers do you see that are like, I used to write signs?
Back to the signs.
But you keep passionate about it.
How many coal miners were like, I don't know anything else but mining coal. What am I going to do? Like, quite humans evolve. That's what we do, right? And they'll find something else to do, and there will be other things that will, you know, that do require. I mean, we need fruit pickers. We need all sorts of different things that AI and automation can't do. So it's not like it's this kind of fear mongering of like, you know, loads of people are going to lose their jobs. No, they're going to be given freedom to go and do something else.
Yeah, I'm certainly not worried about the job replacement factor. I am worried about society in general.
Oh yeah,
like
too right.
Because I've got 2 young kids, and the thought of them growing up with looking at photos that were never taken, you know, generated through AI, copy that no one wrote, watching videos of people who don't exist.
Yeah.
It's like, that just blows my mind. And I know that, you know, give it a month and this content will already be out of date, the pace things are going. Yeah. But that just scares me, especially when I feel like we've gone through such a age of like battling for authenticity. You know, we just spent years you know, trying to get magazines to not feature highly edited photoshopped images of women, and finally, like,
now we're like, oh, by the way, we can just create the perfect person.
The woman doesn't even need to exist anymore. Let's just use that, and now that's being embraced. It's like we just, you know, ASOS, all the fashion brands finally using real people and not editing out stretch marks and stuff. But now we're absolutely fine with it being replaced by
just a totally different AI,
something that never existed. And I just think, what happened to that? Did we not all want something real? And now we're, you know...
I blame Jeff Bezos for all of this.
Right? Yeah, pinning it on one person.
No, genuinely, I blame... Right, so Jeff Bezos is the guy who created the whole we want it right now stuff. The whole concept of Amazon deliveries being sort of same day, next day, that sort of stuff, right? As a society, we were happy with waiting 6 to 8 weeks for our parcels to come, or like waiting fucking 4 weeks, or whatever it was for our parcels to come. As a society, we were happy to not have something instantly. That fucker introduced everything instantaneously.
If he wouldn't have done it, somebody else would have. The society was moving to. Society was moving to. I want it and I want it now. Content. I want it now. I don't want to watch a 20-minute video. I want it in 3 minutes. I don't want a 3-minute video. I want it in 20 seconds. Like Vine. All these. As a society, we were already moving towards that. All he did was go, "Oh, you want it next day? I'll get you next day."
Does it not make your brain like want to implode though? The speed, 'cause everything is shorter form, more volume. When's it going to end?
He'll post stuff, or BB will post stuff on our company pages on TikTok, LinkedIn, everywhere, right? And sometimes it's days before I've seen my own content. Like my own company content, I haven't seen for days because my feed is just full of
every now and then I'll be like, oh, that was cool. I like that. Yeah, post that because we're so used to being the ones that were posting it ourselves on behalf of our company page, and now it's like.
But the point is that I'm not. I'm not seeing my own company shit.
Yeah, because there's just so much content out there, like so much shite. And
it is. It's noisy. It's very, very noisy, and I wonder how that will go. Like I said, I think there might be a trend where those that cut through are going back to the fundamentals.
That would be the niche, wouldn't it?
Like
you'd have to put something like this was not generated by AI, and you kind of
like a sent from my iPhone type of thing.
Exactly.
That's probably why people like typos and stuff. You know how they say, because it kind of shows that someone real did it. Because every now and again you do slip up with a typo, whereas AI wouldn't.
I watched a TikTok video once of this he's really kind of into marketing stuff, and he was like, I tell people to mispronounce words in videos. Because then people kind of go back and, oh, did he just say? And because as soon as he said that, I was like, Nigella Lawson and microwave. And that went fucking mad because it's like, Nigella Lawson doesn't know how to say microwave. It's like, no, you're now talking about her. Like, because there is so much content out there of people.
I never heard that, but
have you not seen it?
Microwave.
She was like, and then
makes it sound so glam.
And it was like, that's so funny.
Some like French delicacy.
And it was like, everyone was talking about this. And it's like, all she did was do a cooking video, which every like TV chef does. And yet we're talking about hers. Why? Because she mispronounced a word. And that's what this guy was saying. He was like, I tell people all the time in your videos, mispronounce things on purpose. But don't acknowledge that you've mispronounced it. Because then people will be like, mate, watch this video. Look how he says this. That's fucking weird, isn't it? And like, subconsciously you're getting your material out there. And it's just that pattern disruption thing again, isn't it? Of like, everybody's doing the same thing. So let's do something different. And I think you're right, like typos or like a slightly different kind of, everybody's content is like this, so I'm going to do it like this. And that's where things are going to start stepping out and standing up, I
don't know whether this is too out there as a comparison, but in terms of the Barbie relaunch, is that on your radar? I don't know how.
I have a 5-year-old daughter.
We've got 2 little girls.
Oh, okay. Nice. Massively then. But I just think that is a true sign of listening to the customer and adapt. Barbie's always been there. We've always known what it is. Churning out loads of Barbie content with the same narrative wouldn't have created what they've created today. Volume was not the missing ingredient. It was getting back in touch with the core strategy, realigning what the customers want, which was representation of real human beings, and that's brought them back. And I think with that in mind, we can learn. I know the recruitment industry isn't Barbie, but I think the essence of the learning is still relevant.
It's a saturated industry though, with no clear USP. Like let's be as blunt as that. Nearly 40,000 recruitment agencies. I can pick 10 out of a hat and ask them the same question: what's your USP? Why are you different to your competitors? And it's all bollocks. The stuff they come out with is usually just, it's our company culture, and we make sure we register candidates remotely. And it's like, right, do you think you're the only person doing what you're doing in the way you're doing it? Because you're not. Everyone is rinse and repeat. You're all fishing out the same talent pool. You're all approaching the market in the same manner. And it's only a handful that are doing things that are slightly different that are making you go, oh, I like that.
And that's all it has to be, is a slight difference. Don't need to totally...
you don't have to be completely the other end.
Then
you've got some that are like, we're the most expensive, or some that are like, we do fixed fee recruitment. I'll find you a marketing director for £299. You're like, fucking hell. Like, you don't need to do that.
But that's not even a USP though. That's novelty, isn't it? That's all that is. That's just novelty.
It's novelty dressed up as a
Whereas
anyway, I could rant about this forever.
But to think Barbie nearly lost the brand when all they had to do was make the thighs a bit bigger, and they just had to make them look more real, and now they're back.
A bit more diversity in there as well now, isn't there? Because there's a lot of the Barbie stuff is kind of they've embraced that diversity piece. That
my girl's got an Indian Barbie, and they absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It's got there's loads of Indian clothes and stuff, and they're like, but they call it Indian Barbie, which I don't like. just call it Barbie.
But once you see it, it's like, why didn't it exist? And I think we can imagine that in recruitment as well.
Yeah.
Like, it only has to be small tweaks based on what your customers really want, and then you can stand out. It doesn't have to be something.
Well, the scenario that we painted there, where you've gone through an entire strategy and you haven't spent that £300.
Still got it.
Got
you're
a
still
night
out.
Pure profit.
Where am I going to put that £300?
Yeah.
In your pocket.
Yes, thank you.
Because the rest of it costs you nothing. No. Yeah. So how do our viewers and stuff reach out to you? Have you got capacity to take on more work? What kind of work are you looking for? And if your budget's
more than 500
here's your chance to like plug your shit, you know what I mean?
Well, I like the phrase we use is our team's elasticated because we use a freelance base, that the whole model with Fiverr. The idea is we can scale up as we need. But yeah, with core strategy in-house, the freelance network that we tap into to get work across the line. And yeah, the website's theLEAP.io. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Always happy to chat.
And do you want freelancers connecting with you as well to try and...
always like to meet new freelancers, yeah.
Get a bit of work out of you.
Yeah, well, I just think even with something like design or copy, there's so many people have their areas of expertise, and it's not every freelancer is a great fit with every client, so we really like to create like really nice matches. So yeah, if you're freelancing as well, get in touch.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
And you didn't glaze over at any point.
No, apart from the nuclear bit was a bit of a
that was a rabbit hole.
We didn't let you leave that.
Cheers.